And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Friday, March 21st. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Matt Belman, who I have not done a show with in a very long time, so this is kind of exciting. We got 7 games on DraftKings. We got 10 games on FanDuel. We still got some injury nonsense to deal with. A couple spots that are just unavoidable today. Looking a little bit different than it did on the strategy show, but we're going to break that all down. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are on our bodies. Belman, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Happy to be doing the show with you Friday. Feeling good. Sun's out here. I think this is like a prelude to us doing baseball shows, which starts next week. So I'm hyped to be on here. I'm hyped to be doing some baseball. But we got the late season dregs of the NBA to get through first. We talked a little bit about it. Muted contest in the DK lobby, but still money to be made. So let's get after it. I'm excited to talk this slate out with you.
Yeah, you and me both. There were a couple spots today when I went through everything this morning where I was just like, oh boy, like there's a chance that this becomes really great value. And it wasn't really like much of a talking point. And some of those spots are still out there right now. So we're going to try to break them down, including this first spot, which is one of the most interesting spots of the day. The Orlando Magic are 8.5-point favorites in Washington, 216 total. Cole Anthony is questionable for this one. Feels like he's not going to be playing, but we'll see. If he's not, we're just going to get a bigger chunk of people that aren't good, like Corey Joseph. So what we are getting here for Orlando, because this is a matchup against such a crappy team in Washington, Paolo Banchero is currently projected for 40% ownership. He's 9,900 on DraftKings, power forward only. Franz Wagner is projected for 35% ownership. He's 8,600, shooting guard, small forward eligible. And we're getting 10% ownership into Wendell Carter Jr. What do you want to do with the two big payups from the Magic?
It's a good question. I don't have like a strong take either way. I'm a huge Banchero fan in general. I've been on him a bunch on his good games recently in the past month or so. I've talked about him on Live Before Lock. I'm surprised, maybe surprised isn't the word. I don't like seeing Paolo at 9,900 at like the highest ownership on the slate besides like the obvious value. I know it's a situation where like you got to spend up, but man, he's at his price peak. Like he's just not really a 10K player. He's playing like it right now. Maybe he becomes that, but you're paying for premium Paolo right now. The case is that raw points matter. So I think he's a strong play. I think he is a little bit overowned. I think Franz is less overowned, but also doesn't project as well as Paolo. So I like them similarly. Both of their prices are up, deservedly so, but I think you're just paying for the raw points more than like, oh, they really stand out as good plays. How do you see it?
Kind of the same way. I got a little bit under the field on like their you kind of said it best. Like they're great plays today because they face the Wizards. They're, whether it's the positionality and the price for Franz or just the way that Paolo's been playing lately, I get both of them. They rank 7th and 10th in the boom bust tool. It just feels like a hair too high. Like I got 33% of Banchero. He's projected for 39% ownership. I like him quite a bit. But you need a big number out of him. You're looking for 60 fantasy points in this spot. You need every bit of that on a slate like this. For Franz, you need 53 here. At least that's the number we have coming out of the boom bust tool. So I do like them both. I liked Franz a little bit more than what I'm getting right now this morning. So I'm anxious to see where some of that ownership has gone. But yeah, they seem like really good plays, but they are properly priced, or at least pretty. I mean, Paolo Banchero is probably slightly overpriced and still chalky, which is crazy. That's just a testament to how bad Washington is. Like they're so bad that $9,900 Paolo Banchero is still getting a ton of ownership, and it's not a 2-gamer.
It's that, but also combined with that, we've got really good value on this slate from Charlotte, etc. Yep. So for me, my only pushback on what you said was like, and I don't even love Banchero at this price and ownership, but I don't know if you need 60 out of him on this slate, just because there aren't that many true spend up options. And if you get, if you get really good scores out of the value, like, and Paolo gives you 50 here, like he could still end up on the winner. You're not winning because of him, but you're winning with him, I should say.
Sure. What do you want to do with Wendell Carter Jr.? We saw him getting a little bit of foul trouble last time out. Minutes got muted, but he'd been playing around 30 a night for the past few weeks. They had really just mothballed Goga until this past game. Now he's 10% owned here. We got him in for 27.5 minutes. He's 4,700. Seems just like a completely reasonable play if you're a multi-lineup person. Like if you're playing a 20 max or you're 150ing, like you're getting to Wendell Carter Jr.
No doubt. I like him here.
Nice.
I like him quite a bit because the other thing he does, and like you can obviously play them both, it's a great spot. But if you're not playing Banchero at that ownership, I love the idea of getting to Carter. Carter can definitely steal some of his cookies in this spot. It's a great spot for all big men, Carter included. You're right. He got into foul trouble last time out. He's coming off a really good performance against Cleveland a couple games ago. I really like him here at 4,700. Obviously, there's opportunity cost at center. We've got Nurk. We'll talk about some other guys, but it's just a cheap price tag for him in this spot. So I'm on Team Carter here. At that ownership, he's, slightly over 10% owned. I think his upside at that price is pretty big here. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm a little over the field here. I'm getting a note that you are not able to be heard on playback.
All right, I will fix that.
So I'm going to unmute over there to see if I can hear you.
I'm going to go out of playback and come back in. So we'll do that same thing we did before.
Okay, sounds good. While we wait to get Belman back into playback, he obviously still sitting here on StreamYard, hit the like button. It'll help us out a ton. All right, let's see if this works.
Yeah, this has happened before, so I just needed to leave and come back. For some reason, it doesn't pick up my microphone sometimes. I should be good now, though.
You are good now. I heard the echoing in my ear. So, guys, we're good. All right, we got two goods in playback. Malakar says no, which usually means that it's working perfectly, and he probably has it muted or something. So, nailed it. Let's go to do you have anything else for Orlando? I can't imagine you do. Does the Cole Anthony news matter to you in any way?
It matters just in that if he's out, I do think that it helps the guys we already talked about. So they don't look any worse for the wear if he's out. I'll say that.
Okay. Now, on the Wizards side, they're without Corey Kispert. He's done for the year. Koulibaly's cooked. Brogdon just doesn't exist. And then Marcus Smart is out today. There is no ownership coming into the Wizards. They have 11% aggregate on DraftKings. As of right now, that is the third lowest mark. The only teams ahead of them are at 10% and 5%. 7% of this is going to Tristan Vukcevic, $4,200 center, and then 2% to Jalen Martin. So yay on that one. Are you going to get to anything from the Wizards here today?
Probably not, but there's a couple of them that aren't awful plays, but there's nothing that really stands out. On this slate, Vukcevic is harder to get to. His price has increased just enough. Center only eligible. He projects decent, nothing crazy. He's projected for 24 fantasy points. Certainly he's got a higher ceiling than that. I don't hate him, but there's a reason none of these guys are getting love. Yeah, he's the only guy even showing up for me. So, yeah. How about you?
I got 8% of Tristan Vukcevic and essentially nothing else. These guys just don't look very good. It's a terrible spot. Orlando obviously leans defensive. They're incredibly slow team. They lose 4 possessions below their average in this spot. I mean, the most optimal we have of anybody is 6% to Tristan Vukcevic. The next highest number is 1.4% to Jalen Martin. So with that said, we're going to move it on to the next game because there's absolutely no reason to continue to talk about the Washington Wizards. We will now talk about the lowest total and slowest paced game on the slate, the Houston Rockets, 4.5-point favorites in Miami, 213 total. Houston is at full strength, and I mean full strength, full strength. Welcome back, Amin Thompson. 3% ownership coming into Jalen Green, 3% ownership coming into Alperen Şengün are the two high marks on Houston on the DraftKings side. It's 2% on the FanDuel side. Do you expect to get to anything from Houston here? I can't see it now with Amin Thompson back.
Yeah, same. They look probably even worse than Washington because even though they're a lot better, they're more expensive. So I'm good on Houston as someone who's playing 3 lineups tonight. I don't think I'll roster anyone from the Rockets. And to be quite honest, I'll have limited exposure to this entire game. I just think there's other really good spots, and we see this a lot in NBA. There's certain spots that are going to get concentrated ownership, and this is not one of them.
It is not. Houston is pulling 10% ownership. As I mentioned before, they are one of the 2 teams that are owned less than the Washington Wizards. So take that into account when you're thinking about Houston. But having Amin Thompson back now is making things a little bit busy in the Houston rotation. We need to see how that shakes out. Plus, these guys' prices have been inflated a bit. Now, on the opposite side, for Miami, this team has been a real dumpster fire as of late. Andrew Wiggins, probable. So welcome back to the lineup, Andrew Wiggins. We have 12% ownership to Tyler Hero, 13 to Bam. They're both sub 10% on FanDuel. Khalil Ware is getting 8% on the DraftKings side. The only guy getting any love on FanDuel actually is Andrew Wiggins at 6K. He is about 15% owned. Do you like anything here for Miami? Because I got him a little bit.
Okay, I think you like them a little bit more than me. Where would be the guy for me? I think I like Carter slightly more, though. So, like, again,
Fair.
playing limited lineups, I would have exposure to both if I were playing 150. I think they're similar-ish plays. They look similar-ish enough in the tools. Where projects for slightly more fantasy points, Carter is slightly less expensive. Similar optimal percentages, etc. Where does look like the slightly better play, less ownership, higher optimal percentage. It's close enough where it's like, I don't think it's that relevant. But if you're going strictly by the tools, Ware looks like an even better play than Carter. I talked about Carter. It's Ware for me. I don't see much else, though. Not saying these guys like Bam, Hero, specifically Bam, are out of play. Like, again, someone playing 150 like you might be. But for me, I don't think I'll get there tonight. Where am I off?
Well, you started with Ware, which was good. I've got 16% of him. I also have 15% of Wendell Carter Jr. So we're in the same boat there where I'm getting over the field on both of those guys in the 4K range at center. So in complete agreement with you there. I'm actually a little bit over the field on Hero and Bam. We've got Hero 14% optimal, 23% boom score. That puts his target score at about 52. He's 21st in the boom bust tool. He's only 12% owned. I actually got 22 of him on my first run. And then basically the same situation for Bam, only he's actually a little bit more optimal. I think the power forward eligibility is really carrying a lot of weight here. He's 17% optimal, 25% boom, same target score, 52. It's all salary based. But he's also 13% owned, so a little under owned in terms of optimal rate. I got to 20%. I think I'm grabbing a little bit of that positive leverage. And that's what I have on the screen right now in the data hub. A little bit of positive leverage on Bam, a little bit of positive leverage on Tyler Hero, a little bit of positive leverage on Khalil Ware. They happen to be the 3 guys that I got over the field on for Miami. So they're kind of a little bit of an ownership pivot to me right now, getting over the field on these guys.
Yeah, they do look like, especially Bam. Bam's one of the higher leverage players on the slate.
Yeah.
I like that call. And just talking this out, the other reason I like them is because if you're not paying for Paolo or Franz, again, you got to spend your money somewhere. And it's not like they're that expensive, but they're expensive enough where like their raw points could matter. Like both those guys on any given night could outscore Paolo. I'm obviously not projecting that, but on any given night, Paolo, when you said 60, like he's just not that guy. Doesn't mean that he won't get 60 tonight, but I think that Paolo, Bam, and Hero, maybe not right at this moment. I think they're all like similar, there's fantasy scores on any given night can be very close.
Anything else you want to touch on here for Miami?
I don't think so. How about you?
No, I'm good. We're going to move it on to the New Orleans Pelicans. They are 14.5-point underdogs in Minnesota, and they're not even close to the biggest underdogs today. 223 total in this one. Pelicans are going to be a little shorthanded. Now, we knew Trey Murphy was out with the torn labrum. No Zion today. Lower back contusion. That is giving us a little bit of ownership coming into these Pels. They weren't looking all that interesting earlier today. Now, a little bit different. Close to 40% ownership coming into Jordan Hawkins. He's 3,200 point guard, shooting guard eligible on DraftKings. A little bit more expensive on FanDuel, so he's sub 10% owned there. We're getting about 20% ownership to Jose Alvarado across both sites. And then CJ McCollum, Bruce Brown, Yves Missi, all around 10%. little bit of ownership to Kelly Olynyk as well. How do you feel about Jordan Hawkins? Because I have about half the field of him right now. It's not that he's not a great point per dollar play, because he clearly is stepping into a bigger role compared to where his salary is, but he's not a great per minute guy. 0.8 fantasy points per minute right now. I appear to be getting my value elsewhere. What are you doing with Hawkins?
Yeah, more than likely getting my value elsewhere. He just looks way overowned for who he is. He has a good point per dollar score, 22 fantasy points at 3,200. But if you told me that's what he scored here, I don't want that on this slate. I think you need more from just each roster spot. There's something to be said, I know, for like getting guys, that are really good point per dollar plays to spend up on the Jokic's or Giannis's of the world. We don't have those guys on this slate. So I think at 22 fantasy points, plugging him in, locking him in, I should say, is doing it wrong. I wouldn't want to just fade him in 150 settings, but
sure,
I'd want to be half the field. And in my 3 lineups, maybe I'll play him once. No chance I play him more than once. Maybe I don't play him. Like, there's just other really good value on the slate. And a lot of times when we see guys at 3,200 that project for 22 fantasy points, there aren't pivots that you can go to. Tonight there are. So
yeah,
I don't think he's a must play at all. I don't think he's a bad play, but I just don't think he's a guy you have to play by any means. Like, the field's kind of looking at him as.
Yeah, like, he's a very cost-effective play. I just don't think he's unlocking as much for me as he normally would on some other slates where you're trying to get to Jokic, you're trying to get to Giannis, You're getting SGA in a spot where he's not a 20-point favorite today. So I'm not surprised that I'm not getting as much. Who knows if that changes, but he is the best point per dollar play. You're probably looking at him or you're definitely looking at him in cash games if that's a direction you guys are going. But GPP wise, I'm okay to be a little light. The guy that I actually have the most of for the Pels is Jose Alvarado, but right at the field, 18% owned. That's what I have as well. He's the only guy that I have double digits of other than Hawkins. I have essentially 8% of CJ, Brown, Misi, and Kelly Olynyk. So I kind of am cool with the Pelicans, but I don't have any sort of crazy stands, and I'm light on Hawkins. Do you like anything else here?
Not really. I think that these guys look good as filler pieces. The only real stand here is that I'm not going to play much Hawkins.
Okay. I like it. I think we can do better with value. We certainly have some other spots coming up where we're going to be getting in deep with some real trash value options. I can't wait to talk about it. Those options are not on the Minnesota Timberwolves, though, on the opposite side here against the Pels. These guys are at full strength. Nobody on the injury report that matters. I'm intrigued by one guy that is not nearly as popular as I thought he was going to be, but 15% ownership coming into Ant on DraftKings. Everybody else is sub 10% on DraftKings. No one is over 10% on FanDuel. Do you like Ant at all today at 9,700?
I like Ant, but man, that's a steep price tag. So kind of feel similar about him as I do Banchero. Like, Banchero's obviously higher owned, but yeah, I mean, I don't have strong takes on Ant. Like, he's 9,700. He projects for 44.5 fantasy points. Doesn't look great. But on this slate, I don't think that's enough. His upside could certainly be needed, honestly, without like upper tier DFS talent. So I don't have any strong Ant takes. If I landed there, I'm fine with it, but I'm not building around him. How about you?
I'm neutral to the field. I think he looks solid, but unspectacular. Obviously, the matchup is really good. This Pelicans team is dead to the world. They're barely hanging on to anything resembling talent. So he should be able to get whatever he wants out there. The guy that I want to talk about, and I didn't get to much, but I will manually make this adjustment. This does strike me as a matchup where he won't play a ton. However, $3,600 point guard Mike Conley is 3% owned today. And Mike Conley has a pretty big range of minutes as of late. In his last 4 games that he played, because he missed the middle of the last 5, he played 28, 32, 24, and 20. All of those games had the exact same rotation, the same full strength team. We have him in for 22.5 today. I'm intrigued by Mike Conley if he plays 24 or 25. I'd rather have Mike Conley than Jordan Hawkins, I think. given the ownership
Yeah.
difference.
I'm never gonna like love Mike Conley, but when you put it in those terms, like I can get on board.
I don't love this at all because of old man Mike Conley at this point. Let me be clear here.
Yeah,
Makes
no,
me
I get
feel
it.
weird because they're huge underdog or they're huge favorites in this spot. This feels like a spot where it's like, yeah, we're gonna play him 22 minutes because it's Mike Conley. But what if he plays 28?
Yeah, I mean, I like it in the aspect of he's a pivot off of Hawkins. Nothing about him particularly stands out, though.
No.
I struggle to get there on such a big slate, like playing a guy like that. Like, I just think you're more right than wrong in these situations more often than not. I should say, like where this game is likely to not be very competitive, and he's one of the first guys that's going to sit. Doesn't mean he can't get there or he couldn't play a couple more minutes, but I don't know if you need it on this slate. I just think there's better options elsewhere, even as pivots off of Hawkins.
If he plays his season average in minutes today, that puts him at 6.2x his salary and right now currently projected for 3% ownership. I'm fascinated by him. I'm not saying he's an incredible player or anything like that, but if he falls into a couple extra minutes like he's shown that he can, I think he's the underlooked value option that's going out there today.
That's fair. It's just tough to get there, like with other value plays that look so much better, like the Charlotte guys. And like ultimately, it's not about making lineups with the most value, So like, what do you need from Conley here to want to play him here? I'm not sure, but certainly more than the 20 he's projected for.
We got it at 28 for 3,600 right now.
Wait, we haven't projected. I saw he was projected for
No.
Minutes.
No. That's what we want. That's what we need fantasy point wise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's like inconceivable, like at all. You're not even talking about 30 fantasy points. Am I going to bet on that? No, but he's going to be like a 30th of the ownership of Hawkins. So I like to play in that regard.
That's the intrigue for me. The rest of Minnesota, I'm like, I could take it or leave it. I don't have any real interest in the rest of the Wolves. You see anything here?
Nah, Ants you can always play because he's Ant, but nothing about him or his price tag stands out.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving then. One half of the main event today. Charlotte Hornets. I've been waiting for this all year. I didn't know if we'd get there. I definitely didn't expect that we would get there on a day where Oklahoma City was also missing Lou Dort and Jalen Williams, but that's how bad Charlotte sucks. They are 20.5-point underdogs in Oklahoma City, 220 total. There's a 220 total, and Charlotte's implied total is less than 100 points. This is incredible. And the reason it's incredible is because two guys on Charlotte are 50% owned. Now, one of them is probably subject to a little bit of change. The other one I don't think is going anywhere. Let's start with the one that I don't think is really going anywhere. And that is going to be the 50% ownership coming in right now to one KJ Simpson. Now, Damian Bow is with the G League team. Simpson is up. I had it the opposite way this morning, so this one looked a little bit different. 3,800 for KJ Simpson. We got him in for 30-plus minutes, 50% ownership, 42% optimal, 56% chance of 29 fantasy points, which is his projection. KJ Simpson looking pretty good here, assuming he starts, and I don't know how he doesn't start.
Yeah, he looks amazing here. I mean, he looks like one of these guys you just play and move on. Like his 60% ownership or whatever is low in my opinion. In the higher stake stuff, he's going to be like 80%, and he should be. You talked about Bow being in the G League, so it's like the reverse situation of the other night, and also Garrett's out, so it's a tough matchup. But so what? Like he's going to play in all sorts of game scripts. You know what? You'll like this. You know what this game really got me thinking about though? What happened to Trey Mann?
Something happened. He had like a herniated disc in his back or something.
He was really good at the beginning of the year.
He had a 2-week stretch where he like went crazy as value, and then he just evaporated.
I don't think he's played since then. So
he's been dead since either late October or early November.
Yeah.
KJ Simpson to me is just a guy you gotta play today. He's, to me, unavoidable value at this particular moment.
I don't see why you wouldn't play him. I mean,
oh, by the way, I forgot to mention LaMelo Ball out, Marcus Garrett out, Salon is with the G League team, Mark Williams out as well.
Yeah, so you just, I think, play him and move along with your life.
Now, the other guy is actually more owned than KJ Simpson at 56%. This one is subject to move around potentially, but he is going to be a value play no matter what news we get. Yusuf Nurkic is 3,700 with Mark Williams out. He is 82% optimal, 67% chance of 29 fantasy points. We have him projected for two and a half fantasy points more than that. He is 56% owned. He's in 88% of my lineups. If Yusuf Nurkic is starting, I will not be surprised if I end up with 100% of him. If he's not starting, he's still going to be heavily owned. How do you want to handle Nurk?
So I like him either way. Like, he's 3,700, and we know he's a very productive fantasy player when he's on the floor. My only real problem with him not starting is that I do think you have to like lower his minutes and clearly his projection a little bit. And his ownership is not going to go down at all. So he's going to be really highly owned no matter what. Like, if he's starting, I think you just play him and move on. I don't even care if he's 100% owned. Well, obviously 100 is going too far. But if he's not starting, like, that's where it's like, if he's 75% owned, do I really want to play him? Maybe. But that's where I start to question it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that introduces like, they're not going to play him at all. And today, Taj Gibson's going to get those minutes type situation. When he's starting, it's just like, well, at least I know he can be on the floor. I'm obviously still going to have him in 150 if he's coming off the bench. The question that I have for you is, how much interest do you have in a $3,800 Moussa Diabate today?
A little bit, like, especially if he's starting. Like, if he's not starting, though, I almost think it's getting a little bit too I don't want to say getting too cute, because he also does project well, but you're giving up, as it stands right now, like 10 fantasy points in projections. Like, we know, even as projectable as NBA is, late season, March, it's more difficult to project just because even these teams don't know what they're going to do on any given night. So like that in itself, when you tell me, Nurkic is going to be 75% and Diabate is 3%, I'm about it. But as of right now, we have Nurkic way under owned at 56%, Diabate way over owned at like 8%. So I don't really think I'm going to play Diabate. Do you like him any more than I do?
I do, but it's not because of any of the data, that's for sure. Is it possible that they run Nurk out there? Oklahoma City cooks his ass because he's dreadful defensively at this point in time, and Moussa Diabate plays 28 minutes in this spot? I think it's on the table that Diabate falls into like a bunch of additional minutes. And I think that's interesting because he's still 3,800 and minimally owned and is a pivot off of the Nurkic play. It doesn't look great on paper for the reasons you mentioned. Like, Nurk is going to project better than Diabate, probably even if he's coming off the bench, because he's got such a gap in his per minute skills. I mean, we have the gap at over 0.3 of a fantasy point. Nurk at 1.27, Diabate at 0.96. But I'm very intrigued by him just falling into extra minutes if Oklahoma City is just, they put him in a pick and roll 10 times and Shea is at the basket immediately and Nurkic hasn't even turned around yet. Like, he's in trouble. I mean, all of Charlotte is in trouble in this scenario, clearly. But it does make me kind of like Diabate because of that.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like, because you feel like, if this game gets like crazy out of hand, which it could, like, it's probably going to be Diabate out there, not Nurkic. Like, if we're talking like a 30-point game, you'd think. I mean, I would think at least. So yeah. I get that. Like, man, I don't know. Part of me is like, I'd rather play one of the other centers, like Ware or Carter that we talked about. But on the other hand, I'm like, man, if I don't play Nurkic, like, that means that he obviously isn't putting up a score I want. So Diabate is probably playing more. I get it. I like the call.
Yeah. Do you like anything else from Charlotte? I think you can grab a couple shares of Miles Bridges in bulk lineups, but Donovan Clingan now questionable. That is relevant for the FanDuel people. Anything else for Charlotte?
I don't think so. I mean, Bridges just for the fact that like he's a spend up to be contrarian option, and if you're not playing Banchero, those guys are worth something here.
So we'll hop on over to Oklahoma City now, who are expected to bludgeon this Charlotte Hornets team. Oklahoma City themselves, no Usman Jang, no Lou Dort. Cason Wallace is still questionable. Jalen Williams is already out. We're getting 15% ownership to Shea on DraftKings. It's single digits for everybody else. I got to 15% of Shea and basically nothing else for OKC. Maybe that changes if Cason Wallace ends up out, but I find it difficult to get to the Thunder because I think the minutes on these guys are going to be ultra flat.
Yeah, I don't really see how you can get to OKC here. I just like the way this game is competitive in my eyes is if like OKC just sucks here because Charlotte is not going to have a ton of success in my opinion. And I don't really want OKC guys if they're not good. I just struggle to see a game script where it's like a really tight, competitive, high scoring game. OKC is probably going to swarm and destroy Charlotte. And then we're going to see OKC spread out their minutes. They got a bunch of players who are really good. And that's part of the reason I don't love the Charlotte side outside of the obvious cheap value plays.
Yeah, I can't get to these guys. If Cason Wallace ends up out and we redistribute his 28 minutes, the live before lock crew could potentially get that news. More likely that it's going to be Greg and I on playback, but that might open up a little bit of value for OKC, but I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. These guys are a little scary to get to today.
Agreed.
All righty. We got to talk about this one. Peep the screen, folks. Boom. The promo code is CYCLE. If you want to sign up for an MLB DFS package, anyone we have, there is a link in the description. It's probably popping up in chat as well. You can get whichever package you choose for $1 all the way until April 3rd. And that doesn't matter when you sign up. You sign up today, you sign up tomorrow, it's $1 until April 3rd, at which point, whichever package you signed up for will re-up. So I don't think you're going to want to cancel. I think you're going to want to stick around. We've got projections, we've got ownership, we've got our top stacks tool, the top pitchers tool. We've got our entire fleet of simulation tools for you on the baseball side. Got our premium Discord as well. This is the deal to kick off the start of the MLB season, guys. If you want to come in right now, one single solitary dollar with the promo code CYCLE gets you our MLB DFS package all the way until April 3rd. Now I got to learn how to turn that image off. There we go. That went better than I thought it would. Game 5. The Philadelphia 76ers are 6.5 point dogs in San Antonio, 235 total. San Antonio currently the most owned team on the slate. The Philadelphia side of this one, they continue to be a patchwork quilt of basketball players. No Adam Bona, no Andre Drummond, no Tyrese Maxey, no Kelly Oubre. Lonnie Walker back off of his concussion. We are getting 14% ownership to Quentin Grimes. No. We're getting 20% ownership to Lonnie Walker, 10% to Jared Butler. These guys are a little bit different on FanDuel. Grimes is $800 cheaper. He's 28% owned on the FanDuel side, so looking a little bit better there. Jared Butler's 20% owned on FanDuel, so more than double the DraftKings mark. Lonnie Walker's about the same on both sites. What do you like here from the Philadelphia 76ers?
Man, I've always been a fan of Grimes, even coming out of Houston, but 8,800 for Grimes, sheesh, I can't get there. That's just not going to be a price point I'm comfortable paying for Grimes, even though he's shown upside. You know, he's a spend up to be contrarian option, but he projects for 40 fantasy points at 8,800. Minute uncertainty there, minute uncertainty with all these guys. Lonnie Walker is my favorite. Obviously, I don't think it's the safest play in the world. He hasn't played in a few games, but he's too cheap for his talent level and role, I guess. Like, I don't love Philly here, but I feel like they're just a necessary evil. Jared Butler looks really, really good from a leverage perspective. 6,300 Jared Butler, I'm not excited about it, but I think there's definitely a role for him on this slate. So I'll say Butler and Walker, two guys I'm more than fine getting to. I don't think there's anyone I have to play here. How about you?
33% of Lonnie Walker, currently projected for 20% ownership. So I'm on your Lonnie Walker play. 22% of Jared Butler at 9% ownership. So I am on your Jared Butler play. A couple shares of Justin Edwards right now. I think that's just, generic lineup filler. I actually have a couple shares of Quentin Grimes, nowhere near 14% ownership, but I've got 150 lineups in here right now. So I do have a couple shares of Grimes. I hate it. I don't think it's good at all. He's exceptionally overpriced on the DraftKings side. I do want to make sure that people don't hear me differently on FanDuel. He's $800 cheaper there. That is across guard and forward. That's a nice functional play today. I don't know if he's a 28% owned dude, but an 8K price tag on there is much more manageable than the 8,800 he's hanging on DraftKings with one less roster spot. So I am not going to advocate for Quentin Grimes. You're not going to hear that from me. And Spags isn't here to tell you he's the top play of the day. But I am absolutely on Lonnie Walker and Jared Butler with you. So we're looking at this the same. I don't have anything else here from these guys. No Council or Yabu, no O'Shea Brissett, none of my boy Jalen Hood-Schifino.
The problem with a bunch of these teams, Philly included, like they've been priced up a little bit. So like they look fine, but like nothing really exciting about them.
Now, San Antonio is the most owned team of the day. I can't imagine you don't like something here. We've got 20% ownership coming into Stefan Castle. I don't know what I was about to say there. We got 77% ownership coming into Jeremy Sohan, who moved into the role of starting center last time out. About 25 to Vassell, 25 to Keldon Johnson, and 15 for Chris Paul. Assuming Jeremy Sohan is the starting center here, we're just jamming this guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, he looks like another easy plug and play guy. Projects for 35 fantasy points at 5,100. Like, I don't see why you wouldn't play him. Power forward eligible. I mean, he just projects too well not to play, in my opinion. So, like, the ownership's high. Are there scenarios where he fails? Sure. I think he failed last game. I can't remember. I haven't looked at the box score, but I don't think he was great last game. I don't expect that going forward, though. So I think he's another guy you just play. And especially in NBA in general, but especially this late, I think a lot of people are too concerned about like either fading guys like this or playing guys at really low ownership. It's not really about that. It's just finding a couple spots to get different. And I don't think this is one of them where I want to, stand on an island here. I want to just play Sohan and move on.
23 fantasy points in 38 minutes for Jeremy Sohan. Obviously, if you thought he was getting 38 minutes, you would have him in every lineup you played, and you would have been very irritated in the end. But yeah, you got to get to a ton of them. As long as he's still starting, this seems like an exceptional spot. Who do you like the most from the rest of San Antonio, though? We've got the ownership to Vassell, to Johnson, to Castle, to CP3. Does one of those guys stand out to you?
I like Keldon Johnson at 4,700. He looks good. Honestly, a lot of San Antonio looks good. I don't love Chris Paul in general, like this late in the year and on a team that's not going anywhere. That's, more likely than not trying to lose. Obviously, the players aren't, but you know what I'm saying. And so I like Keldon Johnson at the same price tag a little bit more. I think Vassell looks good, a little bit overpriced, but I think he looks good. Same with Castle. Ownership is high on those. Like, I don't think they stand out from like a price tag or ownership perspective, but I think they're fine plays in the context of this slate.
Yeah, I'm basically dead neutral to the rest of these guys. Like right around the field on Castle, 25% of Vassell, 25% of Keldon, 20% of Chris Paul. Like I'm getting them because they're good values. It's a great spot here against this garbage Philadelphia team. Like, I'm not surprised I'm getting them. They stand out as great point per dollar plays, but I don't have a big stand. To me, it's Sohan is on an island for this team. And then they've got a couple really good 20%ers that are making up the rest of it. I have more exposure to this team than I have of anybody else.
Cool.
All righty. Well, we will go to game number 6. But first, guys, hit that like button. We've got Lie Before Lock coming up next. They're going to take you from 6 to 7. They're going to break down any news that comes in, like the news that we just got of the Magic starting lineup that includes Corey Joseph, which leads me to believe that Cole Anthony is not a guy that you want to play today. And then we've got Playback. Myself and Greg, unfortunately, will be watching Orlando and Washington for the entirety of the stream. But we have 4 games locking at 8 o'clock. You want to be there for late swap news, for everything that's going to happen as we get those lineups around 7:30 for 8 separate teams. So you do not want to miss that. That's playback.tv/Stokastic. You could watch the games along with us. If you have a League Pass account, maybe you get a VIP pass from us. We have 20 of them. Worst case scenario, you just hear Greg and I talking. I know that's not great. Maybe you would prefer the stream to get hacked and it be porn again, but I can't help you out there. If you need that, there are plenty of other places to go. Game 6, the Detroit Pistons are 9-point favorites in Dallas, 231 total. True or false? The Texas G League team with Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, and I think I saw Daniel Gafford, but I could be wrong, are a better basketball team than the Dallas Mavericks.
Man, it's a question. I don't even know, but the fact that I don't know is scary.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, we're going to talk about Detroit first. They are at full strength, and we are getting some ownership. I think we found the guy that people are paying up for. 40% owned, point guard, $10,400, Cade Cunningham. He is also in 40% of my lineups. Dallas is garbage. Cade is really good. I would like to play a lot of them, particularly on this slate, because this spot looks fantastic. Are you paying up for Cade?
I am. He's in my highest simulated ROI lineup right now. So he's a guy I like a lot. It just comes down to the fact that he's projects really well. Like, it's nothing like he stands out. Like, if this was a slate with Jokic, etc., maybe I wouldn't get there. I don't like absolutely love him here, but the ownership's fine. I think he projects obviously well enough. I mean, he projects for more fantasy points than Shea, who is 1,200 more. And I was actually going to say before we got to this game, I know I said I don't love OKC, and I don't, but I do think Shea is in play as a spend up to be contrarian option just because of everything we've said throughout the slate. Like, he doesn't project well at 11.6, but a lot of these guys, especially the studs, have been priced up. So the fact that I think Shea is at least in play, should tell you all you need to know about how I feel about Cade, and that's that I like him quite a bit here.
Yep. We're on the exact same page with Cade. To me, he looks like the easiest guy to get to if you're trying to pay up. But I don't stop there for Detroit. Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, all about 15% owned. I've got about 15% of these dudes as well. I don't have much else of anything else from Detroit, but there's decent lineup filler for the rest of these Pistons. Do you have any interest in like Harris or Duren? Duren's sort of in like a very different salary tier than a lot of the guys we've talked about today.
Mild interest, like no one I'm going out of my way for. Cade is the guy there, but I think Duren is a strong, mid-tier play that's not getting a lot of love. Asar Thompson, I feel similar about. Like, I like the other value we talked about more, but I think he's good enough at 4,300 where you can think about pivoting in really chalky lineups. Yeah, I could get on board with some Detroit. I don't love the other guys, but I would have no problem playing them if that's how my lineup's filled out.
Okay. Well, let's hop on over to the outstanding Dallas Mavericks. A hell of a basketball team here. I don't know what the hell these guys are doing today. They might be good options, but I don't know what their rotation is now. Obviously, no AD, Exum, Gafford, Irving, Lively, Caleb Martin, or Omax Prosper. But Brandon Williams is probable. Jaden Hardy is now in, I guess, his second game back. We've got 10% ownership coming to PJ Washington, who is the one guy that I think you could feel pretty confident in projecting for Dallas. After that, all bets are off. I don't know what they're going to do with some of these minutes, but I do think it's live for Jaden Hardy to play a disproportionate amount of minutes. I think it's live for Brandon Williams to play a disproportionate amount of minutes. I just don't know if they can. I don't know if that's what they want to do. Brandon Williams' price tag makes it so it doesn't matter, but I would love to be a little bit more intrigued in Jaden Hardy. But I don't think I'm going to be getting to much of Dallas other than PJ Washington. What do you see here?
It's tough because we have good value, and this is not a good matchup. I mean, Detroit has been very good defensively, especially in the last month or so. So while I'm not buying that completely, I don't love Dallas anyways. So that's not going to be something that makes me like them anymore. Dallas looks pretty bad outside of the Hardy call I could get on board with. They're all priced up now though. So
yeah,
I don't think PJ Washington is a bad play. He looks like a lot of the plays we've talked about already, just a play. They've done a good job of pricing up this slate, if you want to say good job, or they've done a job. That's why the guys like Nurkic and Simpson really stand out, and Sohan.
Yeah, I got 3% of Jaden Hardy. I might try to manually get a little bit more as a guy that I take a flyer on the off chance that he starts to fall into minutes, because he's like a real bench guy-ish for Dallas when they're at full strength. So I would expect them to want to play him more. Like, this is the opportunity to really figure out what the hell you have for him. Like, I would expect him to just play 30 moving forward at some point in time. I don't know if that's going to happen today. I don't know if that's going to happen at all. That would be my expectation. And if that's the case, I think he's interesting on a slate like today, but I don't know how much you could prioritize it. He's just my flyer until he gets his minutes. But other than that, it's PJ Washington, and I'm about good here for Dallas.
Same.
That leads us to the final game of the DraftKings slate. Only 7 games tonight on DraftKings. We have 3 more to go on FanDuel that we'll be able to touch on. Boston Celtics, 15-point favorites in Utah. Outstanding game. Jaylen Brown is out for Boston. Otherwise, the news shouldn't matter. 25% ownership to Jason Tatum at 11K. He's small forward, power forward eligible. He's 10% owned on FanDuel. Nobody else from Boston is getting any ownership whatsoever. I will say Derek White is 20% owned on FanDuel. That's the most of anybody here. How do you feel about Tatum? Another guy who looks solid to me, but doesn't strike me as like the guy I have to have.
He looks like just like all the other Ants, Shays.
Yeah,
I don't want to say Paolo, because Paolo still projects pretty well for his price tag, even though it's higher. Nothing about Tatum stands out here. He looks a lot like Shea to me, where like he projects for slightly less. He's less expensive. I think he's a reasonable guy to get to, just because you got to spend your money somewhere. But there's nothing about this spot or Tatum in particular where I'm like, I need to play him. How about you?
No, I'm dead neutral to the field here. He doesn't stand out as the guy I like want to have a ton of. I think Cade looks better than he does. I'm worried about the minutes. This is they're massive favorites in this spot. I'm sure they're live to start flattening this stuff out in situations to start ramping up for the playoffs. So, yeah, I got to 25% of Tatum, which matches the field, and I have 5% of Drew Holiday and 5% of Porzingis, but no real stands on the rest of Boston. I don't think that anything stands out here all that much.
I like Tatum in big-time spots. Doesn't mean he can't get there, and this is a good spot, obviously, for him, but there's nothing about this game that the Celtics, like their season is also like they are the 2 seed in the East. Like you kind of alluded to. Are we going to be shocked if they rein back the minutes on these guys? I won't be.
No. Now, Utah, tire fire every day. Jordan Clarkson's questionable. John Collins is out. Lauri Markkanen is out. KJ Martin is out. Jaden Springer is out. Svi Mykhailiuk is available today. 2% ownership coming into Bryce Sensabaugh is the most of anybody on DraftKings or FanDuel. For the Utah Jazz, they are the lowest owned team on the slate. Will you be playing any of the Jazz today?
I will not be. I just don't see it here. Tough spot, obviously. Minutes, question marks all over. I'm not. We've talked about a couple of teams that don't look good here. Utah literally might be the worst team on the slate. At least with Houston, like their waters are muddied, but they got good players all over. Can we say the same about Utah? Probably not.
They have an 84 aggregate boom score, which is the lowest total boom of any team on the slate.
That's got to be like low, just really in general for any slate.
Yeah. I mean, they only have 3 guys that are 10% or higher of hitting their salaries target score today. They look terrible, truly terrible. So, guys, that concludes the DraftKings portion of these games. The rest of these games are on the FanDuel main slate. So I'm going to swap the screen share over to the FanDuel side, and we are going to finish it off with these final 3 games. So for you FanDuel peeps, hit the like button. This one is for you. Game number 8, Cleveland Cavaliers, 8.5-point favorites in Phoenix. 234 total. Now, I believe I saw some news earlier. Am I right or wrong? Nope. he's not on the team anymore. No injury news for Cleveland. I saw Karis LeVert was out earlier, and that triggered Cleveland in my head. In the same way that if I see news for Luka Doncic, I immediately open up something for the Mavs. For Cleveland, though, we have about 10% ownership coming into Donovan Mitchell, about 10% ownership coming into Evan Mobley, and nothing else really coming in for Cleveland. When these guys are at full strength, it's usually pretty hard for me to get any sort of outlier ownership on them. Would you be getting to anything for Cleveland on the FanDuel end?
I don't think so. Side note, I haven't heard your Cleveland take. I'm 99% sure I already know how you feel on that. They have no chance against Boston to get out of the East. But besides that, do you think that this 3-game losing streak means anything at all? I don't think they're playing their best ball, even during that win streak. I don't think they were, but it's tough, man, when you're locked into the 1 seed in the East and all the teams you're playing are fighting for playoff positioning. You want to speak on that for a minute?
I don't care about the 3-game losing streak at all. I do think they could beat Boston. I mean, I would pick Boston. If both teams are full strength, okay, I would pick Boston. It would not surprise me in any way if Cleveland beat them. I really like the DeAndre Hunter pickup. I just think they're like a more natural team with him in that role. Allows them to go small with Mobley and play Hunter at the 4, a little bit more Wade in that scenario, depending on what you need from size or defense. They're a really complete team. I'm a fan.
That's actually
I do think they're behind Boston a little bit, which, I don't think is like a hot take or anything like that. I mean, they're the defending champs. They're got everybody back from that team. They're all still really good, but no, they're good. Garland took a leap, and I didn't see that coming.
And Mobley's obviously taken a massive leap. You mentioned it with Hunter. Like, the biggest thing this trade has unlocked is being able to play Mobley at the 5 with Hunter at the 4.
Yep. And it's been DFS going really well.
Yeah, it really has. And yeah, as far as the losing streak, I'm with you. For DFS, I don't think Cleveland looks like bad plays. We know Phoenix is a good matchup, but when they're fully healthy, Cleveland, that is, they spread the ball around. It's tough to prioritize any of them, to be quite honest.
Opposite side of this one is the Phoenix Suns. The highest owned guy on Phoenix is 4% to Devin Booker, shooting guard, small forward, 9,400. There are no priorities coming from Phoenix, and they are running into a team that you don't want to play at full strength in the Cleveland Cavaliers. I do not have a recommendation from the Suns.
Yeah, I kind of expect Cleveland to lay the hammer down here too. So I do not like Phoenix at all.
All right. Game 9, Denver Nuggies, 2-point dogs in Portland, 228 total. Denver is without Nikola Jokic, which is obviously a very different team. And we're waiting on the news for Jamal Murray, who is questionable. He's missed the past few with a sprained ankle. We're getting a ton of ownership to Denver. 20% to Murray if he's in, 30% to Westbrook, 20 more to Porter, 20 more to Christian Brown, 30 more to Aaron Gordon, 10 for Peyton Watson, and that'll probably go up if Murray ends up out. Denver looks awesome with no Jokic. Everybody's rates everybody gets more touches, everybody gets more everything when Jokic isn't around, other than incredibly clean looks, because Jokic does get you those pretty regularly. I think you're playing a ton of Denver today on FanDuel. Yeah,
prices have increased, but so what, really? Like, they're not just the automatic locks you get when Jokic is a surprise sit, but Westbrook, Gordon, I think 2 of the stronger plays on the entire slate. Porter right below those guys, Braun right there with Porter. Jamal Murray, more expensive, but man, he has obviously the highest upside of the bunch. So I think you're doing it wrong if you're not playing at least some Denver. I don't think you're crazy to have 3-4 pieces when you include guys like Peyton Watson. So yeah, Denver looks like one of the best plays on the slate.
Not to mention 10 o'clock start, great for late swap. You can move anything around throughout the rest of the slate. By the time you get the Murray news, maybe you need to move him around. There's 2 games at 10. There's one at 10:30. So you got plenty of options. So my recommendation would be to load up on Denver. And if you need to figure it out after the fact, go for it. Portland is also interesting today. Jeremy Grant doubtful. Jabari Walker out. Time Lord out. But we also got news while we were live. Donovan Clingan is now questionable with an illness. We had these Portland guys like 10 to 15% owned. Kamara, Avdia, Simons, Sharp, Henderson, and Clingan. We're all 10 to 15% owned. But if Donovan Clingan happens to be out now at 6K, Dwop Reith is sitting there at 4,200. I think he becomes a pretty big priority on the FanDuel slate.
Yeah. I don't see any way around it. I mean, they just don't have any other big men.
Nope.
So I think you just play. I would expect Klingon to sit now. I mean, late midday downgrade. He's clearly sick. Yeah, I think Reith looks really strong. It also opens up, like you mentioned, the Tumani Kamaras of the world. Like they're not going to play Reith 48 minutes. I don't even know. Do they have a backup center here? So
I don't believe so.
Yeah, you could see more minutes or more big man minutes for guys like Kamara, and we know he can do it all anyways. So I think he's the guy that I would be really looking at on FanDuel.
Yeah, it would be like Kamara at the 5 or Chris Murray at the 5 or like Denny at the 5, like not centers.
Denny. Yeah, so great call. Denny, who I liked a lot going into last game, he would look better just because he's going to play some 5. Kamara already looks really good on FanDuel. And
not to mention we're getting Aaron Gordon as the 5 on the opposite side, so it's not like you're matching up with Jokic.
Great call there. Yeah, that actually makes me like Reith a little bit less, just in the sense that like maybe he's not the auto lock that I once thought 2 minutes ago. If he's not starting, I'd have reservations about playing him. If he is starting, I think you just probably play him and move on. But Kamara, I mean, his game is built for FanDuel scoring anyways. So yeah, I think he looks really good regardless. But if you get Klingon out, all these Portland guys get a nice bump.
Another great late swap opportunity. Another great team to get to. Figure it out when you need to. But it looks like Twop Reith could be a pretty important play today if we happen to get no Donovan Klingon. Final game of the night, Memphis Grizzlies, 7-point dogs in LA, taking on the Clippers, 230 total. Memphis missing some dudes. We got no Brandon Clark. G.G. Jackson's with the G League team. Ja Morant already out. Lamar Stevens out. Desmond Bane is now questionable with low back soreness. He's 12% owned. Everybody else is single digits, but I'm going to assume that if Desmond Bane ends up out, we're going to like something from Memphis here.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot. Never loved going with guys against the Clippers, but all of a sudden you've got Morant out and potentially Bane out. Makes Jaren Jackson look even better. You know, Scottie Pippen, I think, looks good.
Vince Williams, 4,100 if Bane's out. You get the minute bump?
Sure. Santi, I think, gets a bump. He's priced nicely on FanDuel. I hate loading up on guys against the Clippers the Clippers, but I think you want a little bit of Memphis exposure. I just don't feel like great about any particular guy. Do you?
It really just depends on what kind of lineup you get if Bane happens to be out, which might be tricky for late swap purposes since it's the last game, but I'm guessing you would start to get to like Vince Williams. You would start to get to a little bit more Aldama. Jackson would project better. Luke Kennard would be pretty firm in his minutes at that point. Cam Spencer probably gets some run at that point at 3,800 as well. But I don't think we're going to have any sort of like major priority. Vince Williams would probably be my guy, assuming he falls into the minute.
Yeah, I'd be more comfortable, obviously, with the cheap Grizzlies guys. The Clippers are just kind of like they play like old style NBA basketball, and they got a true big man. Yeah. Harden obviously is much better in the half court. Kawhi the same way. Like they got good wing defenders. Like I think they control the pace in this spot. I think they just dominate this game without Memphis's, two best offensive players in Bane and Morant.
Well, the only thing you're doing on the Clippers side is playing either James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, or Ivica Zubac because they are all essentially 12% owned, and no one else on the team is north of 1% owned. Rank Harden, Leonard, and Zubac as our final item for the deeper dive.
Probably Zubac, Kawhi, Harden. They all look similar at their respective price points. When you get healthy Kawhi, like he's still the alpha of this team and is going to be the guy. Yeah, I'll search that. I'll say Kawhi first because when he's healthy like this, he's the guy I want most. I don't think they stand out by any means. Do you?
No, I think they're all basically the exact same guy. They're all in the same optimal range. Zoo has the higher boom, but that is skewed towards center, so I'm not surprised to see that. I'd be happy to have 10 to 15% of all three of them. That's for sure. And it'll look a little bit better if Desmond Bane happens to be out.
Yeah, no doubt. It's hard to play Zoo there with only one center. So, yeah, I think he looks good, but that's all relative.
10 games up, 10 games down, the deeper dive in the books. Belman, anything you want to add before we turn this one over to Greg and Eric?
No, it was fun, man. Can't wait to do some baseball next week.
Love it. Baseball is here. I know the Live Before Lock crew is going to talk a little bit more about the cycle promo, but for now, guys, chill here for a second. Live Before Lock is next.
What is happening, everybody? It is time for the final NBA Live Before Lock of the week. So do us a favor here. Like the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel because Eric and I here, we are going to bring you guys into the weekend, as I'm sure a lot of you right now probably hanging out, watching the NCAA tournament, maybe listen to us in the background. But pay attention. We got some interesting stuff to be breaking down on this slate. A bunch of players on the injury report as per usual at this time of the season. We're still waiting on some questionable players as well. Desmond Bane is questionable. Jamal Murray, Donovan Klingon, who was recently added to the injury report. Cason Wallace, he's questionable. Jordan Clarkson is questionable. Grayson Allen is questionable. So hang out with us for the next hour. Eric and myself are going to be on here. And then afterwards, Josh and I are going to be on playback right up until the DraftKings slate is pretty much all locked because the late games, not on the DK slate. Oh, they are included on FanDuel, but not as much on DraftKings. So me, Eric, breaking it down for you guys. If you want some bets as well, go check out Playback because we have over on the Playback screen, Portfolio EV. That's going to be populating some of the top bets on the board, which also, if you guys want to sign up for 7-day free trial, take advantage of that. Any new users that sign up for Portfolio EV, your first 7 days, totally free. So if you love it, you can stick around. But if for whatever reason you decide these tools aren't for you, you don't like it, no risk at all. You could cancel and not get charged a single penny if you cancel before those 7 days are over. So check it out. There's no risk to you at all. Eric, what's happening, my friend? You have yourself muted.
Of course I do. Like literally, we were just talking for 10 minutes and I have myself muted as we come in. But I was going to say this time next week, are we going to be talking baseball? Is that what we're going to be doing this time next week? I think
it will be the case. We've got the MLB season starting next Thursday. It's already tilting me because I don't know if you noticed this. DraftKings and FanDuel, they have their slates locking at different times.
Saw that.
So I reach out to everybody to figure out, hey, who wants to be doing baseball this year? Who wants to be doing basketball? And, DK didn't have interest. DK DFS, not DK the site. It gets confusing when I talk about that, but he didn't want to do baseball last year. So I asked him who's interested in baseball this year, which he still said, didn't really want to be covering baseball over the summer. So then I was talking to Belman and Spags and figuring out their schedules and what days they could do, and then start scheduling the show for next week. And as soon as I finish going through all of the stuff for opening day, what happens? The FanDuel slate comes out. It locks at 3 p.m. Eastern time. The DraftKings slate locks at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And it's like, great, I got everybody's availabilities, and now the show time has to change. So baseball. The most annoying thing about it is that there's no uniform start times with the afternoon slates and whatnot. And it is only one day into the season, not even a day into the season, but a week ahead of the first day of the season that it already starts to annoy me. But yeah, we're going to be talking baseball next week, Eric.
Dude, I can't wait. It's so fun. I updated all my sheets like 2 or 3 weeks ago just to get ready for everything. Updated player rosters. I was at spring training for a week and a half, so that was really fun out in Arizona with my folks. That's kind of been like a new ritual for us, is like March, go out week and a half, basically just go take in baseball in Mesa for the Cubs, Dodgers. Over by the casino, they have the Rockies and Diamondbacks. I mean, so much good baseball coming our way. I think this is going to be an awesome year as well. Plus, I think you might be throwing some futures out there here, if not in my spot, in your spot over in Tails as well. But we got a ton of great deals going on throughout the entire industry at Stokastic and OddsShopper right now. You guys want to be checking that out here, not just because, NCAA tournament, NBA is going on. We totally get it. But like MLB will be here on Thursday, and you will want to be tuning into these shows right from the get-go. So check out promo code CYCLE while you're at it. $1 gets you everything here up until April 4th.
Yeah. So somebody's saying that can't be. We get all kinds of weird things that get thrown into the Discord or the YouTube chat. I don't think Underdog NBA got banned from Twitter. Is that true?
No, they didn't. No,
it's right there. It's right there.
We
got fake news about news now.
So normally I would ban somebody, but like, do I ban fake news? That's weird. That's weird.
No, there's nothing consequential about that. I don't know why it is that somebody thought that. What probably happened is perhaps that this person got blocked. Although with that said, with the new block rules, you could still. So I don't know what it is that ended up happening there. But no, it's still there. It's still there. Anyway, guys, let's start talking about tonight's slate. And the news is much more important overall to the FanDuel slate than the DraftKings slate, Eric, because a lot of these guys that we are waiting on news for, like Jamal Murray or Donovan Clingan, I mean, these are guys in late locking games, 10 p.m., so we don't have to worry about them for DraftKings. I'm wondering, is there anything in particular, though, that does apply to both sites that you have your eye set on as we head into lock?
So I had a chance on Fliff to jam, and I played quite a bit. I ended up playing like $250 or whatever, but like I could have just sent the entire Fliff account on over 4.5 rebounds for Duop Reith. I'm a little worried that he doesn't necessarily start. So I want to start there with Donovan Clingan, because I know that they were talking about it at the tail end of the last show. I think Denver, if Jamal Murray plays, I think their starting lineup ends up being Westbrook, Murray, Brown, Porter Jr., and Gordon. That's what we have on our starting lineups page here at Stokastic as well. Aaron Gordon at the 5, you can do whatever you want. If you want to start Chris Murray and have Denny Avdia at the 5, that is something you can 100% do. So I had to think, you have about 30, 40 seconds to kind of decide whether or not you want to blow up your account at a specific sportsbook or not. I am a little bit worried that Donovan Clingan doesn't just turn into Duop Reith. Now, I think he's still going to be a really good play no matter what. But think about the opposition on the other side. I want to at least throw that out there with Denver. Aaron Gordon started at the 5 against the Lakers and Jackson Hayes. If he starts at the 5 again, you could totally have Denny Avdia, who played small ball 5 in Washington for long durations of time. I don't think that that's a problem whatsoever. They could go to Rupert, they could go to Murray, they could go to Scoot Henderson and have Denny Avdia slide to the 5, play Tamani Kamara at the 4. So I just want everybody to be a little bit careful. There are times that I've made like calculated risks on FanDuel at center. I don't know that Duop Reith is like the jam that people might think that he is. Now, I think he's pulling like 1% ownership here at the moment, but just be careful for that as you're looking at this window. Now, the nice thing is that Jaren Jackson Jr. exists with Memphis. And if you get Desmond Bane out of there, like he's going to look so good. So I like that we're starting on the FanDuel side because this is the first time of the entire NBA season, Greg, where I have more money on FanDuel than I do on DraftKings because I just plan on being by my computer.
All right. Well, there we have it. So if you guys have any questions, you could fire up for FanDuel. Eric and I will certainly both be prepared to answer that. But first, we do have a super chat here from Chris Albers. And what Chris wants to know from us is, by the way, this isn't going to impact anybody in the back end, only us. It looks like YouTube got rid of that tab we could go to that only shows the super chats and nothing else. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, can't filter by that anymore. Anyway, Chris Albers says, what do you guys think of Batadze for a GPP? So Eric, is Goga Batadze somebody who you are considering getting to for GPP purposes?
No.
That is a no for me as well. I like the center position a lot today. I like a lot of cheap centers. We've got some really chalky center options as well. Yusuf Nurkic, he's somebody pulling a bunch of ownership with Mark Williams out. I assume he starts. And even if he doesn't end up playing a ton of minutes, he's a good enough fantasy producer that we should expect a pretty good game there. You got Jeremy Sohan. He's got center eligibility over on DraftKings. Actually, if I'm going to play a contrarian center from Orlando, I prefer to go to Wendell Carter Jr. at modest ownership compared to Goga. But it looks like on my top 150 lineups, none of them have Goga Batadze, Eric.
Yeah, none of them would have Wendell Carter Jr. either. I mean, the first two game environments are such dog doo-doo. It's hard to like understate it. Like both of them. When I say first two games, I mean, I just the way that I broke them down on my betting thread today. No way that I'm going to prioritize anything Orlando, Washington. No way I'm going to prioritize anything Houston, Miami. So just kind of is what it is. We have Andrew Wiggins in for Miami. We've got Amin Thompson back here for Houston. I'm very curious to see what their starting lineup is just from a betting perspective. But Orlando, Washington, man, I can't imagine that. I mean, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero are always viable, but even today, it's the only game we have locking then. I just plan on fading it completely and moving on.
Yeah, I'm not going to be fading it completely. There are individual players I like from Orlando. It is just one of them is not Goga Batadze, who you see. I've got him here on screen. We've only got him projected to play 13 minutes. We've got him optimal 0% of the time in our data, a 0% chance of being in the top scoring lineup. It's a tough button for me to click on. It's a point in the year too where there is a lot of value to be had. I'm kind of interested to hear though. You have no interest in the grand scheme. I mean, Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner, they're both projected to be very, very popular options, and you're not anticipating playing them at the moment.
So I'm playing single entry over on DK. I have like 20 max, so I'm playing the $4 and $1, but I basically not playing on DK. I'm playing a lot on FanDuel. And I already talked about how much interest I have in just kind of late swapping in that late night window. I can't imagine that I want to prioritize anything coming down the pipeline here when like Paulo Banchero is going to be popular on FanDuel at 9,200. And I still really don't want to do it because there's so many potential outs, specifically Jaren Jackson Jr. Like he's 8,500 over on FanDuel. And I find him so unbelievably unavoidable. Franz Wagner's okay at 8,200. I actually do have 5% of him over on FanDuel. So I don't want to lie to the people and say I'm completely fading him in 100 lineups. But, I'm playing that $5.55. I haven't played it all year long, really. And we have 3 games that aren't on the DraftKings slate. They have Jamal Murray involved and no Jokic already. They have, Memphis with Desmond Bane potentially sitting, and that just opens up everything there, even against a Clippers matchup that is obviously brutal. His 23.5 points prop, 8.5 rebounds, like you kind of just plug all of this in and you accentuate it for Desmond Bane out. He would look just ridiculous at that number. So I get it. If you want to play a little Paulo Banchero, I don't completely hate it, like the way that I'm kind of making it sound, but we have Tatum to spend up for, Durant to spend up for. I think we're going to have plenty of value throughout the night. I don't think I really want to be jamming him by any means. And Denny Avdia, I mean, he kind of looks like he's on a different planet if you do get him starting at the 5 at 8K over on FanDuel. So just lots of ways that I don't think you have to be like over invested in the first game. As you said, they're very popular. I totally get if you're risk averse, you want to kind of slide them into 30, 40% of lineups, at least considering they're 50, 55% owned. But there's a world where I don't end up playing them at all.
Yeah, and we've got a follow-up I saw from Chris in the YouTube chat. He asked, why did we get over 20 minutes out of Goga Bitadze the other day? 5 personal fouls for Wendell Carter Jr.,
Yes.
who barely played in the second half. So that's the reason you end. And also, it's not like you got a ton of minutes out of Goga Bitadze. He ended up playing 23. So, more than we have projected. But once again, it's hard to anticipate that Wendell Carter plays sub 20 minutes and gets into massive foul trouble, assuming that the roles go back to normal. Here's what Goga Bitadze played in the previous games prior to that one. We had from Goga 6 minutes, 5 minutes, and 5 minutes in the 3 games prior to Wendell Carter Jr. getting into foul trouble. Hence the low projection that we have for tonight on Goga Bitadze. Let's see if there's any questions for us in the Discord channel, which there are not at the moment. So let's go through some of the chalk on the slate, Eric, and we could do it for both DraftKings and FanDuel. But since you said you're playing a little bit more on FanDuel today, we could start on the FanDuel side of things, where we have 4 players pulling north of 50% ownership. Jeremy Sochan, 65% projected owned. Paulo Banchero, the aforementioned guy, 58% owned. We got KJ Simpson, 57% owned. Franz Wagner, 51% owned over on FanDuel. Now, you expressed that you don't have that much interest in the Orlando Magic guys. So you've said you got 5% of Franz Wagner. How far underweight to the field are you getting to Paulo Banchero then, if you don't have that much interest in him?
I currently have 0 Paulo Banchero at 9,200. Again, I know this sounds crazy, and I'm not just trying to Eric had one good Mark Williams take all season long where he shorted a guy, and now all of a sudden I want to disappear off the face of the earth. But you have to think about late swap. And when you late swap this slate specifically, there are a couple of things that happen. One, Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. If you get Jamal Murray out, their usage goes drastically up. We already know Jokic is going to be out, and those are 2 guys that are going to project way better. The next one is Jaren Jackson Jr. Talked about that one as well. Desmond Bane is questionable. If you remove John Morant and Desmond Bane from the equation here in this spot, Jaren Jackson Jr. starts to push 40% usage. 65% true shooting almost on the entire season. Broke that down in the betting thread. I find it very hard to believe that Jaren Jackson Jr. is incorrectly projected right now here at Stokastic, assuming that Desmond Bane plays. But if Desmond Bane is out, these are the kind of slates where you can run into a gold mine because, one, people are not going to be boosting Jaren Jackson Jr. the way that they should. And 2, it's a really tough Clippers matchup, but he is, $300 more than Franz Wagner. He is $700 less than Paulo Banchero. And I'm going to project him for 10% more usage and 3 fewer minutes than those 2. We're talking about one of the best late swap opportunities that you can possibly run into. And then you add in the positionality for it. Yes, the small forward positionality is awesome for Paulo Banchero. It's awesome for Franz Wagner. I do think Franz Wagner showing up again, 5% in my first run beforehand. Part of that is the Denny Avdia piece. And, obviously these are all 3 guys that I talked about at the beginning of the show and now who are all coming from this late night window that isn't available over on DraftKings. And so as I started game planning what I thought would be the best ROI boost for me, I just decided to play FanDuel primarily today. And it's the first time I can remember doing it, but 3 full games, all with late news and under projected players. Those are the kind of things that you pray for in NBA DFS. So I think it is an awesome opportunity. Does it work out a majority of the time? It's hard to say. That's a lot of pieces of news that kind of need, we need Klingon out, we need Bane out, and we also, kind of need to have something happen here with Denver where Aaron Gordon can play the 5 again. You get Zeke Naji, or, they started Peyton Watson last time out. So, just pay attention to the starting lineups here. But lots of late news here on today's slate. So if you're by your computer, FanDuel is especially nice.
And the other 2 popular players on FanDuel, and we'll swap over and look at the DraftKings side of things. Slate's pretty different, much more different than they normally are, considering that FanDuel has, a handful of extra games that DraftKings doesn't have. The other popular options on FanDuel, KJ Simpson, 57% owned. And then you also have Jeremy Sochan, 65% owned. Of those two guys, if you don't like the Orlando chalk, what do you make of the KJ Simpson and Jeremy Sochan chalk on FanDuel?
Just jamming it. Absolutely jamming it. I mean, part of it is that it's later starting, so that helps. I get another hour. Like, you get a full hour today to be able to decide what you want to do. Orlando, Washington tips off. You get an hour of information on how Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner are playing, and then you get an extra hour to be able to kind of adjust your lineup. So, yeah, I mean, we don't talk about FanDuel a lot here, and obviously the contests aren't the size I would want them to be jamming over there, but I'm by my computer. I'm going to be watching college basketball. I know you are too. I might as well just be late swapping into the nuts over on a site where I think I'm going to be far more likely to make a lot of money today than on DK.
And by the way, we have. Are you ready for a new coach speak injury term?
Oh God! Don't tell me that it's going to be which team.
I'll just read it to you. So Eric Spoelstra says he will be mindful of Andrew Wiggins' minutes today. He's going to be mindful of his minutes.
How many
they're
times
not monitoring him? They're not limiting him. They're not. They're going to be mindful of his minutes. That's a new one. I can't remember seeing that before.
Eric Spoelstra, fake sharp.
I think he's one of the best coaches in the league and has been.
I know. I thought he was the best coach. I thought he was the best coach, but now he's getting into fake sharp territory. Some of these rotations, man.
Is this about the Khalil Ware thing again?
No, not at all. Like, I don't think Khalil Ware is actually good. I just thought he was fantasy relevant for a long, long time. And I think Khalil Ware is fun. Like, he's a fun basketball player. Like, he's all gas, no breaks. He can't play defense, but he can block shots. Like, it's such a weird basketball player to have out on the floor at times alongside Bam Adebayo. I never thought they paired well. And Eric Spoelstra just decided, fuck it. Let's play them for like 15 games starting next to each other. And let me tell you how long that lasted, Greg. 15 games before he realized he was a fake sharp.
All right, we're going to have to agree to disagree. I think Eric Spoelstra, sharp coach. Some questions in Discord as well. So we'll answer these Discord questions, and then we'll look at the overview of the DraftKings slate and some of the ownership over there. But Daniels wants to know from Discord, thoughts on disallowing Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner in the same lineups across 150. So here is what I'm going to be doing with Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. In some ways, it is the same as Eric. In other ways, it's different. I think they're overowned. I'm not going to 0% of them, though. So we right now have Paolo Banchero projected for 55% ownership. We have Franz Wagner projected for 52% ownership. I have about 30% of both of them right now. So I've got a good chunk of them. I'm just underweight to the field. As far as Daniel's question goes about not having them in the same lineups, it's a matchup against Washington, who is as bad as a team could possibly be. And if this game does end up staying competitive, there is a big ceiling for both Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. So I probably don't have very many lineups with both of them, but I'm not going out of my way to disallow it from happening. Now, Eric, on DraftKings, we have less games to consider. There's going to be less late swap considerations as well. Do you feel the same about Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero on DK as you do on FanDuel?
No, I definitely don't. You don't have the 3 games. That's the whole thing, is that like you play 2 sites. Again, I'm just playing 20 max on DK, so like not as worried about it. Like I'm just going to fire him up there, and I'm just going to kind of let the Sims tool do its thing. But with all of the late swap possibilities on FanDuel, it's just more advantageous, I think. Again, on DK, please listen to me. I don't dislike Franz Wagner or Paolo Banchero. I just think, one, just like Greg said, that they're overowned. We both acknowledge that. It's showing up in the tools. And then 2, on FanDuel, you just have so many extra outs. There's so many pieces of injury news, unexpected starters, what can happen with Portland? Is it Duop Reith? Is it not? If it's not, Aaron Gordon is like redonkulous. And like, there's one guy, I'm considering him for Nuke of the Night from New Orleans that I think is at least very interesting. But like, you look at the power forward position, and I totally get it. I get why Banchero and Franz Wagner against Washington are pulling the ownership they are. You very rarely get Orlando games over like even a 210 total. So like, they're the guys scoring the ball the most, like a majority of the time. And with Cole Anthony out, Corey Joseph's yet another like dead ball guy out there. Like, it's just so set up for them to score like half of Orlando's points. As you're projecting it, I totally get it. Going down the line, why they're pulling the ownership they are. But on FanDuel, I get so many extra outs. On DK, you don't really have them. So DK, totally get why they're pulling it. I'm just going to let the Sims tool do its thing. Probably end up with like 40-50% of both.
And then skipping a little bit, I try to do the questions in sequential order. It's just easy for me to organize all of them. But because it's related to what we're talking about right now, and I think the answer is totally different, Clintwood83 says, do we need the first game in cash? I don't want to, but the Paulo Franz chalk is real. If you're playing cash games, it is a massive mistake to fade an over 50% on Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner in cash. Cash game, don't try to be different in cash games. When somebody's projected for 50, 60, 70, 80% ownership, you're just playing them in cash. GPPs, you could be underweight to the field to them, or you could fade them. Cash games, just play the chalk. Any difference of opinion for you there?
I have nothing to add. No, because I've talked so much today. I feel like I love your rant. We're passionate today. Like, we're passionate individuals today in the streets. Let's fucking go.
You know what else we could get excited about?
Cycle!
Exactly. So, as you guys heard yesterday, we do have the launch of our MLB packages. It is going to be next Thursday, the start of the baseball season. And if you guys sign up for any of our MLB packages using the link we have down below in the YouTube description box with the promo code CYCLE, you get access to any MLB package of your choosing for $1 through April 3rd. So April 4th, those packages are going to renew at the full price, but just $1 using that promo code CYCLE. So if you guys want to try out our tools for the first week of the season, promo code CYCLE, $1. And it doesn't matter if you sign up today, doesn't matter if you sign up tomorrow, doesn't matter if you wait until next Thursday. No matter when it is you take advantage of this offer, that package is going to run through April 3rd and renew on April 4th. So get in early, lock in your subscription. And then also when we do have projections up, I saw somebody in chat ask about it earlier, is as soon as our projections are up on the site for the first slate of the season, I will record some tutorial videos just refreshing everybody on how to use our Sims tool. So if you want to also get an idea of how to use the tools, either a reminder if you've used them in the past and haven't for a little bit, or if you've never used them before, I will have tutorial videos up on how to best utilize all of that. So go ahead and go check that out as well as we approach the baseball season. Next question that we have here from Discord. It is from Master PJ. He wants to know, does Kai Jones get extra minutes if Dallas gets blown out? Eric, do you foresee Kai Jones being a garbage time player tonight?
Who?
Kai Jones.
Who?
Kai Jones.
Definitely not. No, I'm not going to play any Kai Jones today. I very highly doubt he starts. I very highly doubt I'm going to get Tanny.
Yeah, let me see if I have any of Kai Jones on either side.
I mean, we have him starting. Again, there's a world where it just ends up being PJ Washington. And even if he starts, I didn't like him last slate starting. I'm not going to like him this slate starting. Dallas is just a disaster, man.
I don't have... Yeah, I actually did like Kai Jones a lot in Dallas's last game, but I don't have any of him for today. Although I liked him a lot on FanDuel and then was like lukewarm on him on DraftKings, but he was almost min price on FanDuel for the last slate.
Right, he's 5,200, 5,100 over on DK, and it's just like an unnecessary evil. He's 4,100 over on FanDuel. Now, okay, if he starts at 4,100 on FanDuel, I will get to some Kai Jones. I will. I definitely will, but Duop Reith's 100 more. I would rather, I already kind of poo-pooed a little bit of Duop Reith, but he'll be under-owned if he ends up starting. And I'm just trying to decide. Kai Jones, 24 minutes. He went absolutely apeshit in order to even salvage in 24 minutes there. Went to overtime. He didn't close. He wasn't in that lineup. Not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, so Kai Jones, like I said, he's not showing up in lineups for me. If we look at our projection that we have on Kai Jones, we've got Kai Jones at $5,100 in for 24 minutes. That comes with under 20 fantasy points. His optimal rate, 0.04%. So looking at a guy not very likely to be in the optimal lineup. That's what we've got for his DraftKings projection. And then FanDuel, which includes more games, is probably even lower. I take that back. 0.76% chance being optimal over on FanDuel. Even though he's cheaper at $4,100, you still run into the issue of there's a lot of good center options over there. And he is pulling 4% ownership, so some people are playing him. But once again, his odds of being optimal, almost non-existent when he's pulling a little bit of ownership on FanDuel. So I prefer to go elsewhere at the center position. Next question that we have here from Discord. It is from 34 Midway Monster, who wants to know, can we skip the first game on the slate? We pretty much have gone over this, but for me, I'm going underweight to the field to it. You could always make a case for fading anything in tournaments. Can't fade it in cash games. But yeah, Eric on FanDuel is getting away from Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner. I'm underweight to them on DraftKings. If you're only playing one lineup, also, he didn't specify how many lineups he's playing. Yeah, it is certainly reasonable to avoid that game if you are just playing one lineup.
Yeah, I am.
Let's see what we have. Okay, this is an interesting question. Michael Wallace says, advice on how to late swap when on a date with a fiance. So is this a DFS question or is this a
talking to the right guy
question?
See, these are the questions nobody ever asks me. These are the important things. I'm the married one over here. I've been playing DFS for 12 years. I've been with my wife for 10 years. We got married, 3 years ago? She's had to see all of this. Like, here's what you do. You bring your laptop to your car. No matter what, no matter how, you simply, if you go to the bathroom, you just sprint. If there's news that hits your phone, you sprint to the car. You late swap, because everybody has, like, again, from my house, it's unfortunate because I can't connect to my phone, really. My, what is it called when you connect to your phone? What am I thinking of? Like the link to your phone when you can get to the internet from your phone, but you connect it to your laptop.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about. It's hotspot.
There you go.
Hotspot right now.
Yeah, so you have a hotspot with your phone.
Hotspot. Yeah, there it is. Okay.
It is so unbelievably important that you put your laptop underneath your driver's seat and you just have it sitting there. And then you just say, hey, honey, I'm going to go to the restroom. And you get up and you walk. And then you sprint to your car and you late swap. And then you get your ass back in there and you attend to your lovely lady. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, so that's where I'll tell you what I do in this scenario. Eric's also offered a
hot
good
spot
opinion.
To G-spot. Hot spot to G-spot. Let's go.
Yeah, so this is the situation where you have to make sure your wife has a boyfriend. And then what you do is you text him and be like, my man, I need you to tag team that shit. He comes in, he steps up for you. Or just every once in a while, also key is make sure, like, give your wife's boyfriend an allowance. Take her on vacations, take her out to dinner sometimes. It helps. It helps if you want to take your DFS play seriously. That's how you go about doing it. Just contact the wife's boyfriend. Set it up.
We should write a fucking book. Also, I'm pretty sure Playback this week has already taught you how to fornicate correctly. So we don't really need to add anything ourselves. We got it covered.
Yeah. Although I think there was a little bit of a mix up in one of those videos, and then it was just the husband with the wife's boyfriend. And then there was all kinds of confusion. And then the wife was sitting there like, oh my God, how do I get Jokic out of these lineups? She didn't know what to do. The video is very confusing. Yeah. So anyway, Michael, here's the actual answer that I have for you. Like a more serious one. You don't have to play every single slate. If you have real life plans, it's okay to take a night off.
Beautiful.
That's like the real most prudent way to handle it. It seems like he's already entered lineups. He's committed to doing it, but
don't listen to Greg. He's an idiot. Don't listen to Greg. Gamble, bring your laptop, put it underneath your car seat like I do, and go on living your life. And you have to do under the car seat. And the reason I say that is because I have a Bernese Mountain Dog that would slobber if I forgot my laptop in my car like that. So it would be a problem.
Yeah. Hey, and then, I mean, you see right there, Mike Parrish saying, and the girls never show up. Dude, I'm telling you, I've watched some of those videos, like the one that was on the other day, 30, 45 minutes. Like, where are the ladies? An hour goes by, 2 hours. Like, where are the, and then you're sitting there, you're worked up, you're sweating, you got a 10-year pants. Like, where are the ladies? And they never show up. So yeah, it's tough times. It's tough times out there.
Let your wife, Rich, come on now. Come on. Come on, my guy.
Next question that we have here from Discord. We got a couple more questions, then we'll do the nuke of the night after we answer the rest of these. We have, oh, by the way, interesting. Amen Thompson won't have a minutes restriction.
Oh, I'm going to play him a little on FanDuel. Give me them stocks, little man. Let's go.
What is Amen Thompson? All right, so
$7,900
Amen Thompson
on
is
FanDuel.
$7,900 over on FanDuel. Thompson on DraftKings is still $8,900. I didn't put that much thought into him just because I thought, he was going to be restricted coming back from injury. I don't really believe this. I don't really believe this report.
Show me the starting lineup. That's what matters. Show me the Houston starting lineup. I said it was going to be interesting. Like, I'm actually very, very interested to see. And like, you look at the prop market, which obviously you and I use to kind of indicate where we're at. I know it's a big part of what anybody who kind of knows what they're doing is doing, but like, I am very curious to see kind of where Amen Thompson gets thrown, because he's at 11.5 points right now. Minus 113 on FanDuel, 11.5 points. If he has no minutes limit and he starts, that is such a Hulk slam. But like, I'm with you where I'm a little bit trepidatious. Ime Udoka is one of the best coaches in the NBA. He is not a fake sharp. He's a confirmed sharp, Greg Ehrenberg. And this is the kind of stuff where I said, I saw a world where I would swap onto some Amen Thompson on FanDuel. What was his tag on DK?
He's 8,900 on DK. That's a steep price point to play.
No, it's FanDuel or bust. Again, I think he'll actually show if he starts, and depending on what Rich decides to click for the old minute speedometer there, I think there's a world where Amen Thompson looks okay.
Yeah, at $7,900 on FanDuel, like, I think it's okay to take shots on him. I'm not interested at all at $8,900 on DraftKings. Once again, though, I don't buy this that he's not restricted. And here's the main component of this for me is when Amen Thompson is actually not restricted, we've seen him play upwards of close to 40 minutes. I do not think that is in the cards, which indicates some sort of restriction. And these were his minutes prior to getting hurt. 38.5 against New Orleans, 40 against Indiana, 41.5 against Sacramento. These were the minutes he was playing prior to getting hurt. I do not think he's playing those minutes today.
I'm probably going to agree with you. 40 feels a little far-fetched, and it's a slow-paced Miami matchup. Totally get all of those points, but you give me 36 in a starting lineup here. If he ends up starting, it's kind of hard to look at and not say that you want to take shots on him at 7,900 because he'll have no ownership. But Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson over Tari Eason, and then Alperen Şengün. Like, I'm just curious to see how this is because we haven't seen it where Fred VanVleet and Amen Thompson were in the same. We've seen 2 games of them. I posted this also in the betting thread. 2 games since January where they actually appeared in the same basketball game. So, like, it's hard to know how Houston is going to roll things out because Amen Thompson was playing very few minutes at the beginning of the season relative to what he did later down the line. And then he just became like, oh, sure, yeah, we'll play him 36, 40 minutes a night kind of stuff. But yeah, as you said, I got to see the starting lineup before I make any decisions.
Couple of super chats from our guy 1-2. He says, don't listen to Greg. Your big win is waiting. Then he followed up and said, play every slate regardless of your situation.
Yes. What terrible advice.
That's one way to do it too. That's one way to do it too. But I'd say that it is prudent at times to tend to other matters in your life. It's okay to take a slate off every once in a while. It really is okay. It really is okay. I know that's not advice people want to hear. But if you're going at, if you're really worried that you're not going to be able to late swap, it's okay. Take the night off.
Just
next question in Discord. It is from. See, this is why I try to keep the questions in order because then I forget where it was that I was left last at. So let's answer this one from. All right, here's what we'll do, actually. Let's play Nuke of the Night, and then while the animation is playing, I can figure out where I left the questions off last. And if you guys haven't done yet, like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. But first, Nuke of the Night.
Didn't get a charge.
All right, Eric, here we go. Time for the nuke of the night. And who knows? Maybe you're going to throw out a FanDuel specific one, maybe be one that encompasses both sites. You have let it known to the people that you're playing a little bit more on FanDuel than you are on DraftKings today. But who is the nuke of the night?
Yeah, let's do FanDuel specific because I don't ever get to do this. And I know some people in chat are enjoying the fact that I'm covering FanDuel a little bit more for you. I think that you deserve it. You've hung in there. We've kicked it. We're having fun. It's freaking Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker is coming back from a concussion, and I'm going to be underweight to Quentin Grimes, I think, on both sites pretty significantly. Like, I'll still have a little bit on FanDuel. He's pretty popular on FanDuel. It's hard to completely hit eject there out of 100 lineups, but I just think there's such an opportunity for Philly to finally do what they wanted to do correctly, and that is tank without giving infinity minutes to some of these other pieces. They've been very shorthanded. And you look at Jeff Doughton, who ended up out randomly from last game. You have Chumo, Kiki, Alex Reese. They don't really care about them, or Jalen Hood, Shafino. But Lonnie Walker was playing boatloads of minutes before he ended up getting concussed. Got hit in the head. I think we all knew pretty immediately that he was going to be out there for quite some time. But if you've never seen him like on the floor back in his Brooklyn days or anywhere else, Lonnie Walker will go out and he will chuck. And Lonnie Walker will never short you as far as what you are getting from him on a floor. He has 34, 35 minutes upside. I don't think it's going to be the first game right out of the gate, but he's 4,500 with small forward eligibility over on FanDuel today. And I am significantly over. One of the better optimal scores relative to ownership, so leverage scores, if you will, over in the Boom Bust tool or in our data hub. I'm just kind of obsessed with Lonnie Walker shots or trying to take shots on things that aren't Quentin Grimes. Now that Philly can just go get their butts kicked appropriately. Now, they're not that big of dogs against San Antonio, and San Antonio doesn't have a lot to play for other than Stephon Castle's Rookie of the Year. But I just think the price tag and the opportunity are right there for him. Lonnie Walker, nuke of the night. I wanted to do Carlo Matkovich for what it was worth, but I didn't do it.
Yeah, Lonnie Walker, we have with the second best leverage score in the Boom Bust tool on both FanDuel and DraftKings. He's an excellent play on both sites. I have him in about 30% of lineups. He showed up overweight to the field for me on both sites as well. So, yeah, I think that he is looking pretty solid for tonight's slate. For myself, boy, what direction do I want to go? There are a lot of guys that I'm overweight to the field to that are not pulling that much ownership today. You know what? I'm going to give out one here that is kind of related to somebody you were talking about earlier and his fantasy upside. Khalil Ware is projected for 8% ownership today. We've got almost nobody playing him. This is also a spot against Houston where we just found out that Andrew Wiggins' minutes are going to be whatever the hell it is that Spoelstra says they're going to be doing with Wiggins' minutes. It seems to me to indicate that Andrew Wiggins is not going to be playing his full allotment of minutes today. We know that Miami has no issue at times playing Bam Adebayo alongside Khalil Ware. So there's opportunity for extended minutes for Ware and super high risk, high reward option. But his price point has really come down as of late. So I think Khalil Ware, pretty interesting contrarian option to get to today. There's a massive downside, but there's clearly a ceiling from that we've seen as well. So Khalil Ware, that is going to be my nuke of the night, Eric. Single digit own guy who I'm a little bit more than double the field on.
Yeah, Khalil Ware can do things on a basketball floor. 5,500 on FanDuel. Played 32 minutes against Detroit. I don't expect that. He's not going to start, obviously. We're going to have Wiggins start no matter what, I think, even if he is having his minutes limited. But no doubt that there's a bigger opportunity for him. There's disgusting game environments in these first two. I don't mind taking shots on him more so than anybody else on FanDuel right now. Like Bam Adebayo has power forward eligibility, 8,600. I'll probably take a couple of shots when it's all said and done. 2% in my last run. Yeah, I probably won't take many shots on him there, but I like it. I think Khalil Ware, especially if you do get Duop Reith not starting, if you do have Kai Jones not play well, 4,100, there's like nothing cheap at center that I like whatsoever. So like, I mean, Nick Richards, no thank you. O.C. Godoro, no thank you. Looking at like the late night Cleveland-Phoenix game, don't think I'll do that. Sandro Mamukashvili, people might chase that. I very highly doubt they do. And Yusuf Nurkic is 4,400, one of the best plays on the slate. But like, I just really want to see where that ownership lands, because if this is a blowout, they're 20-point dogs. they don't have to play him. He could play 16, 18 minutes, and I'd be a little bit nervous about it. I know he is popping in the tools right now. So, like, I'm with you. I think Khalil Ware is definitely somebody to take some shots on. I'll probably give him a little boost right now.
We got an update starting lineup for Washington. So the
hell?
Washington Wizards, they're going back to a more conventional starting lineup. It is Champagnie back in the starting unit, Vukcevic going to the bench. We do have projections updated in short order here for Rich. Champagnie now in for 27 minutes. And considering his price point at $5,200 on DraftKings, the matchup against Orlando, he doesn't really look all that appealing on the DraftKings side of things. And then if you go and look at him on FanDuel as well, $5,400 for Champagnie over on FanDuel with the 27 minutes. Like, I get that he's moving back into the starting lineup, but I don't know, better spots to be targeting. It would be one thing if his price came way down, but he only came off the bench for one game, so he's still priced as a starter. I know people are going to be interested just in the fact that he's been included in the starting lineup, but it's kind of been his role for a while when we weren't playing him before when he was starting.
So be careful of a couple of things. I will say this first off. Chris Middleton only played 11 minutes starting last time out. He ended up not playing the entire second half, which is great. But like the main thing is I'm just happy to have all these AJ Johnson unders from Portfolio EV. Like that was definitely one of those plays that stood out to me because, you know, I wasn't sure if Chris Middleton ended up starting. Actually, I was kind of more in the camp that he didn't in this specific spot. But like they have enough other configurations. I thought that they were honestly going to start like Poole, Champagnie, George, and then you could have Vucevic, Sarr, or you could have gone Bub Carrington, who, again, it's very surprising to see Bub Carrington not in that starting lineup relative to everybody
I don't
else.
think his dad died earlier today.
Oh, shit. I didn't see that at all. This is what happens when you end up watching college basketball and you're doing a betting thread for like 4 or 5 hours in a day, is I did not see that. That really sucks. I feel bad for him. Is he going to play?
He's not on the injury report. I wouldn't be like, I'm not going to say the most likely scenario is that he doesn't play. I wouldn't be shocked if he's a DNP coach's decision. Like, I think the starting lineup change paired with that news, I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence. It could be, but I think there's a pretty good chance he just ends up not playing minutes today.
Well, if he doesn't play, like, there's nothing that says that they can't give Middleton 25 minutes, 26 minutes. Like, if he's just going to flat out not play, again, they need to be cautious with Middleton and Smart. Like, I'm sure their plan is in the offseason to move these guys with their numbers, with everything else. Like, get what you can for them and move along as you need to bottom out as a franchise. And they still are too far away from bottoming out with that Jordan Poole contract. But like, Middleton plays 26. Like the main thing is like Justin Champagnie.
By the way, just to reiterate, I think the most likely scenario is he plays today.
I do too.
I think that there's a chance he doesn't, just considering that news before. Richard said in chat that he's still listed as active and there's been no news about it, so he might just play and his father's on. Yeah, like I think the most likely scenario is he plays. But with that said, too, like it's too risky for me to consider him. Like I wouldn't want to play him in DFS anyway. So to me, I just want to throw it out as a possibility that with him not starting, that there is a chance that he just doesn't end up playing. I'm not saying I think that's the most likely scenario, but there's a chance of it.
Well, as a human being, I'm going to cheer for him for his Brett Favre game. The Brett Favre game is something like, even as a Viking fan, I'm not a Brett Favre fan at all, even though we had like 1 year where we should have gotten to the Super Bowl. Darren Sharper, I hate you, but I'm quite confident that, if you have a soul, you're going to cheer for somebody in this scenario. But if he just doesn't play, it wouldn't shock me either, I suppose. So Chris Middleton, Justin Champagnie. I think Champagnie's probably the guy. His price tag's a little elevated, 5,200, 5,300, I think, corresponding across both, 5,400 on FanDuel. It's a little steep, but like he played 39 minutes 2 games ago. And if he just ends up out, a lot of what they have behind him is Anthony Gill at like the 4 or 5, Rashawn Holmes at the 5, Tristan Vucevic at the 4 or 5, JT Thor at the 4. Like they don't have a lot of wing depth. So like Colby Jones can play guard. You can slide, Middleton over to the 3. That's where he played forever in Milwaukee. But like there's a minutes upside for Justin Champagnie starting. And if Bub Carrington ends up not playing basketball today, AJ Johnson, I don't know what to make of those minutes, but like they're definitely they're short on wings is what I'm trying to say.
All right, let's finish this up. 10 minutes to go here. If you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will answer the rest of the questions you guys have. And I see that 1-2 has left us another super chat. He's saying, if you have a gambling problem, just hang in there. And that also is him referencing to not give up and to continue betting no matter what plans you have with your significant other or anything like that for the entire day. You just keep going no matter what. 1-2 has made his priorities clear. Honey.
True story. First ever
Honey,
Christmas.
I know it's our anniversary, but the Washington Wizards just changed their starting lineup. Cancel the plans today. We don't know. There could be somebody with marginal value playing 27 minutes today.
Yeah.
We'll celebrate our anniversary next year.
True story. I lost $248,000 on the last play of a game on a DraftKings contest, the first Christmas I ever spent with my in-laws. And I threw up in the backyard. And they're like, oh, Eric drank too much. No. I threw up because Pittsburgh started lateraling the football and the defense. I can't remember who they were playing. I think it was actually Pittsburgh's defense that scored against whomever else it was. And the defense passed it by 2. And I ended up winning like $2,000 instead of I was solo banking for $250K.
We've all got our stories. We've all got our bad beat stories.
I'll never forget my first. Oh, Kessler Edwards inactive. What the fuck?
Yeah, so Kessler Edwards is going to be inactive. All right, you know what? Kai Jones looks interesting to me on FanDuel now. We kind of were poo-pooing on him before. $4,100. Now he's got one less guy to compete with for minutes. I now like Kai Jones over on FanDuel. I'm
going to try to get as many rebound props down as I can here because people aren't going to react. Like, books won't react to this stuff as much and people won't jam it as much. Like, these are the kind of things that are fantastic catches. Also, PJ Washington double-double looks really, really good. His minutes very secure, even if it gets a little bit south.
What I expect that this is at least partially, or actually maybe even entirely related to, is Dallas probably trying to prevent from having to forfeit games in the coming weeks. They're just trying to thin out who they're playing on individual days to try to space those games out because Kessler Edwards only has, a certain amount of time left to play considering the contract that he's on. The rest of the questions we have from Discord, we have from Champino26, favorite chalk and contrarian plays at each position for DraftKings. Absolutely. So let's start by looking at the point guard spot, Eric, where I have as my favorite chalk option, KJ Simpson. No Damian Bow today. He's going to be super popular, but I find him to be nearly impossible to get away from. So popular option, I'm going to be playing the chalk and KJ Simpson at point guard. A contrarian option at point guard, SGA. I know the most likely scenario is that OKC just absolutely hammers Charlotte, but you never know. Games can randomly be competitive. And then also it's such low level of competition. There's a scenario here where SGA just scores like 60 fantasy points in 3 quarters, but who knows? Maybe the starters actually have to play the 4th quarter. We saw this earlier in the year. OKC played Philly. I think they were 19-point favorites. Philly had all of their guys out, and the game stayed competitive all the way through, and SGA had a big game. So I like SGA at really low ownership. Eric, your favorite chalk and contrarian option at point guard for DK?
Rich just said Edwards has 1 game left on his contract. So,
yes. Yeah. So they'll try to space it out a little bit.
Dude, this Klay Thompson contract and like how this all worked out, what a disaster. Like Nico Harrison has to be the dumbest person that has ever had a front office job, maybe ever. Like, this is insane what he's done
Isaiah
to this team and city. What?
I said Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, yeah, he was pretty bad. And he ruined this, like, as somebody who was a Sioux Falls Skyforce stan, because that's where I grew up at, he completely ruined the CBA. Like, completely ruined it.
Yeah, and on top of it, not only did he do a terrible job running the Knicks into the ground, also because of a sexual harassment lawsuit, he had to pay, or the Knicks had to pay like $4 million because of him sexually harassing employees in the office. But anyway, we have to finish.
Point guard, Jordan Hawkins, totally get it. For DK, totally get that one. And I'm with you, KJ Simpson, unavoidable.
Shooting guard, my favorite chalk option at shooting guard. Well, it's kind of hard because I'll just go with, he's not like super chalky, but Lonnie Walker's fairly popular. He's the 3rd most popular play at the position. I'll give Lonnie Walker out as my chalk option at shooting guard. My contrarian option at shooting guard, that is going to be Anthony Edwards as a little bit of a lower owned pay up option. Yourself, Eric.
Yeah, Nuke of the Night, Lonnie Walker, definitely my dude on DK and FanDuel. And contrarian shooting guard. How about Peyton Pritchard?
Okay. Small forward for me, my favorite chalk option, I'll go with Jason Tatum. And my favorite contrarian option, the other Thompson, Asar Thompson, who is $4,300 and 12% owned.
Love the Tatum shout out. I'll probably go Keldon Johnson just as my chalk option. And then contrarian Najee Marshall.
At power forward for me, favorite chalk option, Jeremy Sokan. He's my most rostered play. Him and KJ Simpson, my two most rostered play. Or actually, I've got three: Nurkic, Sokan, and KJ Simpson. All of those are in the majority of my lineups. All chalky plays, but I think good chalk. So Jeremy Sokan as a popular play, as a contrarian option. I still like Asar Thompson as a contrarian option. Oh, here's one that I was already overweight to the field to that I'm going to like probably even a little bit more now. PJ Washington with Dallas even more shorthanded than previously anticipated it.
I was so mad. Danny and I were both lamenting over on Twitter that, it was just an absolute stone cold disaster. Jeremy Sohan was sub 20% owned starting last time out, completely failed. And now he's 76% owned. Oh my, how the tables turn tables or whatever Michael Scott said, but power forward PJ Washington.
Okay. And then at center, my favorite chalk option, Yusuf Nurkic. My favorite contrarian option is Jalen Duren.
Jalen Duren, that was going to be my contrarian option, so thanks for stealing him. Musa Diabate.
Okay. Yeah, I thought about Khalil Ware, but I already gave him out as a nuke of the night, and I like Jalen. There's a lot of contrarian guys who are like 5 to 15% owned that I've gotten 20+% of lineups today, and just trying to give out some of the other ones that I'm liking as well. If you guys haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget about some of the deals that we have going on right now. MLB package, those are live on the site. You could sign up for just $1 with the promo code CYCLE and get access for the first week of the baseball season. And then, of course, as well, Portfolio EV, get a free trial. Sign up. First 7 days, totally free. Try out the tools, see if they're for yourself. I think you're going to like them, and you're going to want to stay past those 7 days. But 7 days, totally free. Nothing to lose out on. Let's see if we've got any other questions that came into the Discord for us. And King Yusuf wants to know who is our favorite pay-up option on DK today. All right, so overall, my favorite pay-up option is Cade Cunningham. I think you're muted.
What are we calling a spend up?
I'll say anybody 9K or above.
Amp.
Okay. And then we've got Daniels wants to know how many Spurs can you play today? I mean, the only one I have a ton of is Jeremy Sokan. Like, I've got other guys, like, I have some exposure to Devin Vassell. I've got some of Keldon Johnson, both of them in around 20% of lineups. I got like 10% of Chris Paul. But, outside of Jeremy Sokan, there's not anything like specific I'm considering when it comes to Spurs guys.
Yeah, same.
All right, and now a couple of other questions that came in late here. One is, Bunny, how likely is Charlotte to play KJ Simpson and Nurkic in a blowout? KJ Simpson, very likely. Nurkic, less likely. But Nurkic is so cheap, and you've got no Mark Williams today that I don't think it should matter all that much. Rabashua is asking us, do we like flipping the ownership between Vassell and Butler? No, I prefer Vassell to Butler. And then OKOS, Paulo or Franz, I have more exposure. Well, it depends, right? I have more exposure to Franz, but if it's just you have the salary to roster either, then it's Banchero. He's projected for more fantasy points.
Yep, 100%.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Any final thoughts for the people here, Eric, before Josh and I head on over to playback?
No, this is a really good week. Love to see all the winners, people that are taking down tournaments, doing great stuff. Hit the like button. Let's go make some money.
All right, guys. I am dropping the link to playback right there in the chat for you. Why is it not hyperlinking? Well, that's annoying. Well, either way, it's not hyperlinking. Just copy and paste that link into your search bar. Join Josh and I over in playback. Who knows? We could get weird starting lineups, players ruled out unexpectedly, or some of the questionable guys. They could get ruled out as well. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here. Well, hopefully I'll just see you guys over on playback. But if I don't, have a great weekend. We'll see you here on Monday. Peace.